I think my first full game was against Dumbarton, ironically. It was Hearts, and I was up against big Mark de Vries now. Mark's thighs were two of mine combined. It was a monster up front. I went to Ibrox the following week. It was for youngsters playing with Glasgow, Aberdeen, that's what we called it. Aberdeen were playing Rangers at Ibrox, but usually before it in the wee Astrograss, they would play an under-18s fixture. There was a call off in the morning. You come up and sit on the bench and say, no bother. The boy went down after 10 minutes centre back. Now, I'd never played centre back in my career, right wing striker, and that day I went on. So for that day on I was a centre back. But the moral of the story was, I remember the Aberdeen bus kind of coming down Edmondson Drive. It was half time in our game. You just imagine the sort of rivalry. The bus was getting heckled. There was a flag up every window. But see, at that moment I had a kind of standstill moment. I went, I want to go on that bus. That'd be absolutely outstanding to come off that bus. And 4 years later I was coming off that bus. So see that journey you can through your head about everything you've worked hard towards, and you're going into Ibrox, 50,000 fans. That's a dream, do you know what I mean? A story that you can tell young boys aspire to play in the stadium.
Zander Diamond, Cali Corner, thanks very much for coming in, mate. I really appreciate this.
No bother, Paul. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, mate. So I think we'll just start at your boys' club career, Zander, because I think a lot of people will be interested in knowing you obviously played Dumbarton, how you sort of progressed from there to Aberdeen, if you can tell us, mate.
It was simply just playing normal football with your boys' club. It was Bellsmire at the time, it's a scheme in Dumbarton. And yeah, you're just playing away every Saturday, and suddenly scouts start appearing, unbeknown to you, because you're just getting out there, just playing with your mates, and Saturday morning paying your pound as it was back then. And yeah, the first team to kind of get in touch with Celtic, the old school letters through the door, and then kind of 6 months later Aberdeen had got in contact. So when you open those letters, and you can still remember it to this day, and you see the crest at the top of the page, it was from Tommy Burns, that was at Celtic, and Drew Jarvie at Aberdeen, and suddenly it became a wee bit real, and they invite you to train and stuff like that. So that was enjoyable, and you're on the house phone, phoning everybody around. These letters have come in, report to Barrowfield, or it was Strathclyde Park with Aberdeen. So just generally from that, and then training nights would start. Aberdeen would be a Monday, Celtic a Tuesday, Boys Club on a Wednesday, play at the weekends and stuff like that. So
how old are you at this? Because I read earlier that you were playing like under 12s or something when you were 8, or under 14s when you were
that's right. I was 6-7 year old and I was playing under 10s. My uncle Stephen, who ran a team in Bellsmire, and he just asked, you want to come up? But my parents thought I was too young. But back then we must have 4 high risers, so there was near enough a team from every high riser, so you held your own against the kind of older guys, older boys, and you're playing with your cousins and stuff like that. So you get kicked a few times, but you learn to kind of, man up, or if you like, kind of quite quickly. So in that environment. So again, yeah, it was a case of playing away, have fun, smiles and faces, not structured training sessions or stuff like that. It was just go have fun. And we'll touch on later on, like kids nowadays should just play with a smile on their face, play with freedom. And just see how far it takes you in the beginning.
Aye, no, absolutely. How old were you then when these sort of letters come through for Celtic and Aberdeen then?
Probably about 10-year-old. 10-year-old's the Celtic one. So, and they trained down at Dumbarton East, down at Dumbarton. So they did it down there, and just all boys from the area, all the best boys from the area. And the Aberdeen was much of the same. So it was like a Glasgow sort of base from Aberdeen. And that was the case. Again, it wasn't really the under 10s, under 11s, but you grouped at the end and they mixed the teams now. So you kind of held your own, but you kind of knew everybody, because that whole area, everybody knows each other from different areas and different schemes and stuff like that. So, and then you had the car share, kind of parents would take you up to Strathclyde Park with Aberdeen, and it became that wee bit real when you get your kit and things like that, and the crest is on your kind of your heart and on your jersey and your stuff like, you see these people in the telly, you obviously grew up as a Celtic fan, so suddenly you're training with Celtic and training with Aberdeen, and people would say, well, who are you going to choose if it came to it? Because they're setting you up for a schoolboy sort of thing, and that would kick in at 13 once you hit your teenage years. And again, the decision we'll touch on is one that was quite easy in the end.
Aye, so How was it easy then? Because I was intrigued about that. Like, did you have to physically go up to Aberdeen when you signed your S form or whatever that it was called back then? Or?
Yeah, what they kind of done was they kind of took you up at October weeks and Easter weekends and put you up in digs. So maybe sizing up, you know, if you're going to sign, we were from Glasgow, there was Dundee, Inverness, Perth, and all, so they all grouped together on the kind of holiday weekends. Celtic was still tournaments, Barrafield, Crown Point, you know, so it was a case of you're just playing as much football as you can and seeing where it takes you. So I think when both offers come in, you've got a decision to make. But what intrigued me the most was the kind of Aberdeen seemed miles away, and see the journey up with the boys and the bus and stuff like that, and mixing with them up in that environment. I loved that, but also the fact that, again, as we touch on, Aberdeen allowed you to play with your school, and that was probably the biggest factor in my decision in the end.
Aye, that was sort of off camera there, so I think some folk might know, obviously, if you sort of play for, I don't know if it's all teams now, but Celtic were certainly like that back in the day. You couldn't play for your school team if you signed for them, right? So you obviously had some good experiences with the sort of school you were there with. Yeah,
that was the thing, and I speak about it kind of with a smile on my face, that the Celtic scout was my English teacher at our lady in St Patrick's. So when they come to your house, Aberdeen, they come to your house, and that was a decision to be made. You know, I thought long and hard about it. Also having a sort of vision with regards to, if you were good and exceptional, there was a kind of pathway into the Aberdeen first team. If you looked at Celtic, you know, they're competing against Rangers. Were they going to let younger boys kind of come in and kind of play? Because they're trying to stop. They were stopping Rangers in 10 in a row that kind of time, and try to get on that sort of footing with Rangers. So you kind of had a long-term vision in a way that, but ultimately it came down to playing with your school team. So as I said, the English teacher pulled me in. I signed the Thursday night with Aberdeen. He pulled me in on the Friday, and I said to myself, I've done my homework, I've been in time, what am I getting into trouble for? And he just says, you signed for Aberdeen last night. I said, I did. And he went like that. No, good on you. He says, so I can use you for the school. I said, so it was a kind of, I said, well, you want me to sign for Celtic. However, you weren't. So it kind of, I wasn't allowed to play with the school. So it kind of became that sort of laugh and joke and that. But again, I had a lot of success with the school team. Loved every moment of my school football. Won various cups, various shields with the school. And you look back with fond memories that if that was taken away for you and you didn't manage to make the step into the Celtic team, then I would look back with a wee regret. So, and you always say don't look back, but I thought, and I probably justified, was the right decision to kind of go with Aberdeen at that time.
Aye. How old were you when you moved up there then? Like when you finished school, were you 16? And who was the gaffer? Was it Steve Patterson or somebody else?
It was Eb Skovdal at the time, the Danish fella. So I'd known they tried to sign me when I was 16. I just turned 16, and my parents were at the school, parents' evening, and the letter and the contract was in the house, and it was actually a teacher that said, no, I think advise Zander to kind of stay on for another year, which was probably it was better for myself to get an education. However, I had a back injury that year, so I was 7 months out of the game anyhow, so it'd have been a waste of a year. So as a youngster, you think to yourself, is that contract still going to be there? But you believed in yourself. But kind of the 5th year at school, I was staying up in Aberdeen on a Thursday night when I get back fit, and then playing in under 18s on a Friday. I was 16, so you're playing against kind of players that go on and kind of do things. You know, I was playing against Sean Maloney. I was still at school, and he was playing the Celtic team, as was John Kennedy and stuff like that. So you were going back home and telling the stories, and you know, if as a schoolboy playing that, you know, I look at the Spanish boy 16 in the Euros now, and he's doing his homework and stuff like that. So you can kind of, you know, you still got to get an education. But I tell a good story where I was at a tournament in Holland, and I was sitting I think it was my higher English actually, and I was doing it at like 5:45 in the morning. Nobody knew about it. I had to really strict confidentiality that I was sitting with Aberdeen tracksuit on, and there was one adjudicator and just me in the hall, and we were going to Holland, and did my exam, walked out at 8:30 in the morning. There was a car waiting for me, and all the pupils are like, well, what's going on there? I'd done my exam, but I knew then I had a week in Holland, a tournament, and I came back, my contract was signed. So effectively I just turned 17 and basically right up to Aberdeen. you got to learn how to live, i.e. you had to get a bus pass, you had to make sure you got from your digs to your Gododry, you had to pay your own digs, yeah, but everything else was catered for, so you know, when you kind of try to enjoy life also, you're up there and all that, but it made you grow up a wee bit of responsibility with all my ground staff duties, which I think should still be in place nowadays. But it made you grow up very quickly. In a way, you're away from sort of the distractions. But I was very focused in a way that that's what I wanted to do. And as I went in, you kind of get your head down straight away. But you'd already been up there for a set period, kind of October weeks, Easter holidays, playing for the under-18s. And that, I loved all that. You know, you go in for a pre-match. And for me, the first game I think was up at Ross County. And it was like, you know, your kit's there, two sets of everything and towels. And you know, it was... you know, proper stuff, and that just kind of made my mind up that let's go and give this a good shot. And from then on, you just sort of worked away and just see how far it took you.
It's interesting you mentioned that, obviously the moving away, because I don't know if you'd have seen it years ago, but there was this documentary about 4 or 5 English players, and it was like Alan Smith and a few others, and Alan Smith was like majorly homesick when he went away with the sort of England under 16s or 18s or whatever, and I think to the point where he actually like just fucked off, like he was like, I can't do this sort, and left the sort of camp. So did you have any issues with that, with being homesick? Because it is, it's no in another country, but Aberdeen's a long way from Dumbarton.
I need a passport after Dundee to get there, but no, because we've been up and been in amongst it, you know, we had 5 players in our digs and 4 were Glaswegian. And 1 was for Banff, which is the tours north Aberdeen. So there were crazy days, crazy nights. You know, we're all sitting down, all teenage guy, 18-year-olds, 17, 18-year-olds, all sitting down for dinner at one time and all that. And you see the carnage. You know, there was only one landlady. And I always remember, if it was my kid, the Aberdonian boy, were playing hide and seek or doing something, one of our boys were out in the windowsill outside, and the person dropped off their son. They must have been looking to say, well, who's my son living with here? Look at the state of them. The 2 of them out. But the pranks were brilliant in the digs, you know. You had 2 in each room and then a single room. But the camera had was excellent, you know. In the morning you had to put your towels out in a queue system because there's only one shower, and you know, and you play the PlayStation and Xboxes and music and all that. They days bring a smile to my face because you look back and you go, you know, you basically grew up in there. You know, I was up there recently at a charity match and you passed it and it's up for sale now, and you're like, so many memories were made in that house. You know, the first thing I did when I moved up was, and you know, I'm not afraid to say it, I took my poster for the house. It was a poster of Henry Larsson. I put that above my bed and I said, you know what, I want to go and try and play against. That was something that was objective, and fortunate enough I managed to do that, and it was great, you know.
It seems like you weren't in the youth team that long before you broke into first team, Zander. So can you tell us like what the background was there, and did you just hit the ground running? You just felt you were where you belonged and you had the ability and all the rest of it?
Yeah, you know, ability took me so far, but I always worked hard. And one thing I always did was, you know, I used to go in and sit with the first team, you know, listen to them. And they're the experience, they're the ones that you hear the stories, and the first team love that, because I did it latterly, sitting in and welcome the youngsters. You get players that just welcome you, you know, Uefa Glasgow, hi, I'm for that area and all that. We're Uefa, wee man, brilliant, do you know what I mean? That kind of beds you in. But I was training with the first team sort of kind of February, March, but we were in the Youth Cup at that time, and we knocked out a very good Hibs team that included Brown, Whittaker and that in the semi-finals. Probably Kevin Thompson, I think they all played in the semi, and we got to a final against Celtic we actually played at Perth. They'd beat us up front, Marshall, you know, very good players in their team. I mean, McGeady played Charlie Mulgrew and all that. So from then on, after that game, we got beat 3-1, extra time, after extra time. So being the digs, we had to move all our stuff out because they rented the rooms out. They rented rooms out at the holidays. So it was Aberdeen's centenary year, and we were playing Gordon Strachan in Southampton. So the manager had says to me, Steve Patterson had changed hands in Dungeons, said, listen, you're going to be in the squad. you're going to be in the squad for the kind of the friendly. Now on the Saturday I was down in Glasgow and Arsenal were playing Southampton in the FA Cup final that year. So they were bringing their team up with James Beattie, Wayne Bridge, I think Boyce Fence and all that. It was a very good Southampton to get an FA Cup final. So played in that game, half an hour. I got half an hour that evening, and then after the game, the Berlin I've got nothing up. Aberdeen, everything's all down the road. So I think it was SVQs or something they call it. And the Wednesday morning, Celtic were playing Porto that evening on the Wednesday. So I had everything down the road, going down to watch it. So after the Southampton game, one of the players had went, "Gaffer, what about Zander? Is he going down the road tomorrow?" And the gaffer went, "No, he's staying up. He's in the squad for Saturday against Dundee United, last game of the season." So again, I'm like, brilliant. Very initial, I'm like, well, Celtic are playing Porto. So suddenly I'm like, right, the elation goes to, like, I've got nothing up with me. I've got absolutely zilch. And for the Southampton game, I had to go and get a wage advance. I had to go and get a collar tie. I had nothing like that. So you get absolutely slaughtered getting into, I thought I was quite plain Jane. I'll go in, get slaughtered with the first team. So anyways, nothing up. So on the Wednesday went in, it was a recovery day, and Celtic were playing Porto that night. So I had a Celtic strip, my Larson 7, and I wore it out that evening. Unbeknown, nobody really knows who you were and all that, and Jim Layton, Ryan S and David Priest, the goalkeeper, they see me coming out. Celtic had just been defeated, and big Jim, big late, so big gentleman, he's like, "What are you doing with that one?" I says, "Jim," I says, "Get him." I says, "Jim, that's all I've got, I've never done anything up with me." It was just Aberdeen tracksuits, and you can't wear that out in Aberdeen. So Jim's like, "Right, get that, I've got up the road and all that." So this was a story probably nobody knew. So I was in a pub just having a beer. Bear in mind I'm in the squad for Saturday, so I'm kind of not playing with fire, but it wasn't as if you were streaming or anything. It was a couple of beers. A big shadow came across behind me, and it was Duncan Shearer. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to get into trouble here.
He's the assistant at the time.
He's the assistant. And I went, and he went like that. "Shite tonight, wasn't it?" I went like that. I said yes, and he said finish that and go home now. Big Duncan to this day never said anything. He could have easily went in and had a bit of banter or pulled you in the next day. No, we were training Thursday, Friday, and then make my way down to. So the kind of relation going to make your first team debut was outstanding. In the morning, you're travelling down the bus, New Firm derby against Dundee United. And you turn down Tandai Street, see the crowd and all that. So that was the first taste of like, this is proper. The warm up was, you're out there, and I always remember going out to warm up and somebody said, "Fake out of there. Who the fuck's this?" I always remember that. I was standing stretched in the corner.
Is that an Aberdeen fan, was it?
Aye, Aberdeen fan. So I was like, "Thanks very much." And then I was out warming up half time, and the fitness coach went like, "Listen, you're going on, come on for Phil Maguire." So played, we won the game 2-0, and boys on the change room, "Well done, congratulations, first team." No, actually, wait to see your bonus and stuff like that. Like, what bonus? You're not really thinking about that. He said, "Well, wait to see next month" and stuff like that. But great, it was to make your debut in your first year. It topped off a great season. But what I thought was excellent, when I'm back for the following season, they had me back in the youth team. And they said that was a method, because you could have went up there, I'm in the first team now, Billy Big Ball, stuff like that. And no, they kept me in there for like 6-8 weeks. And then after that, they put me into the first team change room, and that was it. That was the sort of, I thought I was a masterstroke. Not that you'd have been that way, but I think just the way they played, it was excellent. And you were still on the jobs and stuff like that. I thought it was excellent. And if I was fortunate enough to make it to that, that sort of wee things you look at and you go, no, they got that just right.
And how were the other boys in the youth team when you went back? Were they giving you a bit, or you were buzzing that you made it?
They were buzzing, because it gave them something to aim for. Fortunate enough, a couple of players followed in with me. A lot of them fall away, and they can't quite make that. But when I was in the first team change room, you felt yourself the first couple of weeks gravitating back out. I was very comfortable in that environment, but your mates were in next door. So suddenly they were going down the roads on the Friday. I was staying up. You were up there proper now. And how to conduct yourself. So after a game, the bright lights are there also. you can find yourself going out and things like that. It's long weekends, but no, the boys were actually supportive, and the fans were excellent at the time with me. He broke through. It was I wore my heart on my sleeve really for my whole career, but they loved that. It was just a bit of freshness. It kind of rejuvenated them a wee bit. The team as a whole, and Steve Patterson actually touches on that in his book, that he put myself, Richard Foster in to help the sort of older boys, because a bit of freshness about the place helps the kind of senior boys. But it was a great experience. Played, as I said, heart in the sleeve, happy to be out there. I was just somebody from a scheme really that was playing football, and but yeah, the sort of 6-8 weeks, and then the baptism of fire was playing against your Hearts and your Rangers and stuff like that, which yeah, was a good experience.
And you mentioned the senior players there, so who would it have been at that time for you? Was Russell Anderson there when you first came into the team, or was it other boys?
Russell was in the team. There was Phil Maguire, Chris Clark, Michael Hart, David Priest, Ryan Essen, Stevie Tosh, Paul Sheeran, Lee Hines. Players. At that time, Stevie Patterson, the manager, had to cut the budget, so he was signing a lot of players that he knew from, like Falkirk and who was Clyde and stuff like that when they were up. So I get the recruitment wise, but we still had a kind of a youth element. Kevin Rukovic was there. They were still like they were missing something. That, and again, we'll go on that when Jimmy came in, but they all helped you. And prior to that, when I was a wee boy, like Derek White was in the changing room. Great player in his day, and outstanding, big fella Whitey. But Jamie McAllister was in the changing room, so they all helped you off of Glasgow, helping along, and they've all had that journey, and that's what probably I found relating to, because they were on the youth team then, they made it the first team, and that's what you were starting out as. So I think the big boys at Drillich, big Australian, scored at Parkhead, I think, to knock Celtic's record. Good experience within the changing room, but they were struggling in the league, struggling massively, and we were just in there to rejuvenate it. But I think the first kind of full game was against Dumbarton, ironically, and then it was Hearts at Pataudry, and I was up against big Mark de Vries now. Mark's thighs were like two of mine combined. It was a monster up front. They had Presley, Webster, Severin, really, really good players. Managed to get through that, and then went to Ibrox the following week. And this is the story. It was for youngsters, was playing with Glasgow, Aberdeen. That's what we called it. There was a call off. Aberdeen were playing Rangers at Ibrox, but usually before it in the wee Astrograss, they would play like an under-18s fixture. So there was a call off in the morning, and being from Dumbarton, you're only 20 minutes, 25 minutes. We said, would you come up and kind of sit on the bench really? I says, no bother, getting out. So you went to the game afterwards. So a boy went down after 10 minutes, centre back. Now I'd never played centre back in my career. Right wing striker, and that day I went on. So for that day on I was a centre back. But the moral of the story was, I remember at half time, and the Aberdeen bus was kind of coming down Edmiston Drive, and you can imagine, it was half time in our game, you just imagine the sort of rivalry, and the bus was getting heckled if there was a flag up every window, and there was people, but see at that moment I had a kind of standstill moment. I was sitting down really. I went, I want to be on that bus. I fancy a bit of that. That'd be absolutely outstanding to come off that bus. Just an experience. And 4 years later, I was coming off that bus. So see that journey working through your head about everything you've worked hard towards, and you're getting into Ibrox, 50,000 fans, and you were sitting there, and I looked off the bus, and there was an under-18s game going on. I'm like, if these guys have a vision, you could be in here in a year or two. Fortunate of me, I was in there, and it wasn't under 18s, it was an under 14s game. Yeah, that would have 4 years, yeah. Under 14s game it was, but what as a dream, do you know what I mean? A story that you can tell young boys have something for that, aspire to play in the stadium. You're playing outside. I know a lot of games now are played in because of the Astros, but to get in there as a young boy, I was like, wow, to go and play in front of 50,000. Then I get sent off. I get sent off after 52 minutes for a trip on Avalads, just over the halfway line. and I spoke to, Willie Young was the referee, and I met Willie last year at an event, and Peter Martin was actually doing the event with him, and I said to Peter, I'm good friends with Peter, and Peter says, he sent me off when I was 18. He said, was it a red card? I said, no, I said, it was just inside our half. So you can imagine Peter giving Willie a bit of stick, and Willie, he said, it should have been a yellow, but how can you, 50,000 fans are wanting you off. He says, it's easy to give. I said, but no for an 18-year-old, it's no. I was devastated, absolutely devastated, but people would say, do you meant it? I says, no, I didn't mean it. You know, of course you wouldn't mean it, do you know what I mean? They were just seeing the background and everything like that, but no, but what an occasion, you know, to play in front of 50,000 just when you're 18, and yeah, it was something special that day.
You mentioned the rivalry between Aberdeen and Rangers, like, obviously I've got some idea of what sort of contribute towards that, but what's it like as like a Aberdeen player up there, like on the weekend Aberdeen Rangers game? Is the energy sort of more palpable, or the staff talking about it? Is it like... Yeah,
I totally get it. There's, you know, I think Rangers orientated people will say Aberdeen raised their game against Rangers. I don't think they raised the game that as much as what they would do for Celtic. You know, that myth, you have to be more concentrated, but I think the supporters, not as players, you try and go out and try and win every single game, but I think supporters are a different dimension to it, that they want to stop Rangers at all sorts. You know, I think when I was there, the fact of the matter is that because I was obviously grew up a Celtic fan and played for Aberdeen, there was a double whammy there. You know, so you couldn't really get away from that. But just an example that I would give is the year that the Rangers team were in, the good Rangers team that were in the Uefa Cup final, and they played all those games and in the lead up to that. I think they had games like Saturday, Monday. It was something crazy. I can't remember the fixture list. And we had them the last day of the season at Pittodrie. Now, Pittodrie was 25% sold because at that time Rangers were well ahead of Celtic and whatnot. But I think Rangers dropped points on the Saturday in the league. And then they were playing the Monday. And I can't remember the day, but see, the Monday morning, the queues were right out and they went to a sellout just for the fact that you could deny Rangers the league. You know, you need to ask the Aberdeen fans, like, you know, why we get you want to stop, but you went for 25%, 30% stadium full to capacity, you know, and I used to get warned by the police and match commanders and things like that. It could all kind of kick off. Like, I remember one game, the game I actually scored in, it was me and Maurice Ross. I think it was Hugh Dallas was the referee, and me and Maurice kind of knew each other just with Scotland set up and things like that. The two of us were just swinging each other around. There was nothing in it. We were just sort of laughing, and he kind of pulled us aside and said, listen, you know what this fixture is, so you just need to be careful, get away and all that. You don't want to kind of be the ones that kind of set it off, really. But you've seen it over the years, you know. But I must admit, the atmosphere is outstanding, you know, and there's an edge to it, you know. That's what I'd probably say. There's an edge to the game that, yeah, it probably stands alone in the fixture list, where Aberdeen will look at, you know, potentially with the fixtures, and it'll be the Aberdeen Rangers game.
Aye. What about, you mentioned some managers then earlier, obviously Steve lost the job up there, and then Jimmy Calderwood and Jimmy Nicholls come in. How did that change things at Aberdeen?
The best thing, it probably, for me personally, the best thing that happened to me, because they were outstanding. They were, bring a smile on my face, stories, because sitting here till tomorrow morning, the amount of stories and experiences that I've had with the both of them, they were Jimmy Cole was like a second father to myself. Absolutely fantastic. I warmed to them straight away. Jimmy Nicholls as well. You know, a lot of people said, oh, the two of them are Rangers supporters. Didn't matter. You know, it was probably the stories that he could tell. Like, probably first thing they did was they raised the standards. They walked into a football club and they raised the standards, and that was the thing. As a young boy looking at that, I said he didn't accept anything in the change room, i.e. like people speaking out of turn. Like, I think you threw something. I think the Aberdonian thing with Jimmy Calderwood played a master, so there was a few Aberdonians was in the change room, and he meant, you know, I'm from Glasgow and there's only one car in the driveway, but you got up here and there's 4 cars and stuff like that, and I think a couple of Aberdeen boys had nibbled. Next week they were out the door. It was things like that. It was just like wee things. He was kind of like throwing wee hand grenades out to see who could take the banter. Because you would come in as a Glaswegian, you would give something back. Now, this is a story I'll tell. I mean, you give something back. They gave it to me stinking for the first 10 days, 14 days. They gave it to me stinking. And it was in the back of somebody. Now, they'd just been at Dunfermline where they beat off Celtic 3-1 in the cup final. It was Larsson's the double. He scored the double. And I think Petrov scored the winner. Like, I don't know. So I was at that game. So I was sitting in the canteen, and the guy who got me tickets, he was sitting on the far side also. So they two were sitting. And Jimmy Nicholls, his usual wee quips. There he is. Aye. See that gaffer? He's big Celtic man. Aye. How are we going to get on with him? So just keen as it. So the guys who got my ticket, he said, did not tell you he was at the cup final? So that was the starter for 10. No, you're at the cup final? All right, aye. And the neutral bit? No, I was in Celtic. All right, aye, no like us. So I took it, even on the training field, but it was all banter, and I said, you know what, I'm going to get them back. So I knew what had changed. So I went to the kit room, and I said to Jim Warren, the kit man, I says, Jim, can I get a Celtic strap? Hey, bother, what you doing? What you up to? I says, I'll give you back tomorrow. He's like, right, okay. But he knew I was up to something. So I went in, I knew where they sat. We changed, I put it on, left it, back game. In the next day. And I was in the treatment room, and the door burst open. Jimmy Nicholls, the Irish boy, where is he? He's in so much trouble. That's putting it mildly. And he's like that. Where is he? Like, you, Diamond, up the corridor, now. I'm like, what is it? Boys are certain people like, what's going on? He says he knows what he's done, get. So you can imagine, so he got up the corridor at Audrey, into the manager's office, says, Gaffer, deal with him, just deal with him. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he went like, you explain to Gaffer. So at the time, you're a young boy, new groups, new managements come in, but at the table, like that, Gaffer's desk was like, but my chair was away doing, right? And this is when I look back on this, the stitch is up massively, so I'm sitting down like that, looking up to the Gaffer, but unbeknown at that time, because you're so consumed. So Jimmy Calderwood's like, but it's a pendant, he's like, what you done? And I was like, nothing. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. Jimmy Nicholls like, you know, said, what did you do yesterday before you left here? I went like that. Well, I got a massage. No, what did you do after that? So I was trying to play and I was trying to really think, like, 'cause I knew what I'd done, obviously. I said, well, I put a Celtic top on his clothes peg. That's it. So Jimmy goes, what did you do that for, son? What did you do that for? And I'm like, well, you've just been giving it to me. And he says, you can't do that, you know his background. Played at Rangers, Northern Ireland International and all that. Door goes open again. Have you sacked him? Because if you don't sack him, I'm going. So door shuts again. The Gaffer, he's like that. You're still on a 2-year contract. Well, I'll need to do something because I can't lose him as a number 2. And I'm like that. So at that stage it was getting proper sort of real. So he comes in again and said, have you dealt with him? He said, I've had to go to the local dry cleaners to get all that off my shirt and all that. And it was a blue shirt as well. It was just like, and they were getting it at me and I'm like that. He goes back out and I'm like that. I said, listen, I didn't mean any harm. I said, you were giving it to me for days and weeks on end. I says, but if you want to apologise, and the door kept we don't mind that. He says, Big Jungle, he calls that, he's still there, I say, Jungle Jim. And he goes, I don't mind that, eh. So that was it. He said, so we went over to Holland the following week. He's like, me and you, Jimmy Nicholls, me and you are playing pool straight away. But all the senior boys are all looking at this, a young boy, like, it's almost like they just took to it straight away. And he's like, right, 2 games at Celtic Park, 2 games at Ibrox and 1 at Hampden. Like, what are you talking about? He says, we'll play the home game first night, and he's like that, and it's Haley into McCoy's, and Nicholls scored potting the balls and all that. It was just the wee things that were brilliant, but I loved all that because you gave as good as you got. And the following year, Jimmy Nicholls said, you know what, you made our life so much easier because they seen the side to us that got the senior players were sort of maybe kind of standoffish, but if a young boy can kind of banter and stuff like that, loved it. You know, and there's other stories as well. But that was that was the initial thing, and you can imagine for 5 years just loved every moment of them.
And they done you there, that's for sure. Anyway,
100%.
What about? I have to ask you. Obviously, Big Sutton likes to say that Dunfermline laid down in the last game. Did you ever wind them up about that, or that was off the table?
100%. We, you know, on the back of them coming in again, you know, the sort of, you gave it to them and they were kind of laughing and looking on and winking and all that. You know, they never did that, but I was just big Sutton, outspoken and stuff like that, as big fella is. But Jimmy, they played up to it. Do you know what I mean? They'd wink at you and all that, and kind of have a laugh and a joke, or when
it was supposed to be 7 or something like that.
When we went to Ibrox and stuff like that, and you're standing and Jimmy would be like, you know, I think the 6th goal went in there, or the 7th goal might have went in there. No, things like that, and you would kind of rear its head again. But no, I constantly reminded them of that. But I always, again, the love, no, I mean, their passion was fantastic. Similar, you know, but again, people don't see that side. People don't see that camaraderie in the changing rooms. They don't see the sort of the banter. I think nowadays stuff like that would seep out, and you know, but you look back on it and you're like, the best days of your life. And another story, there's stories where it was a helicopter Sunday. They got there, so we just finished the game against Hearts, I think it was, and we're in the change room. So he has a wee sort of, players are getting released and players are moving on, players are getting married and stuff like that. So I like to thank services. So the wee club doctor ran round and he's like, by the way, it's 1 each. So I interrupted the manager's after match team talk. He's kind of like looking about and like, but he composed himself. Right, okay. And then obviously a minute later, McDonald scores again. And the doctor comes running in again and says, Gaffer, it's 2-1 to Motherwell. And he just went like that, and he kind of looked at me like that. I was kind of went like that. He said, right, boys, that's us for a drink now, come on. But, and I waited 4 years to get my own back, 5 years to get my own back in that, which is another story. But we can touch on later if you wish.
You'll need to tell us that after that one, definitely. What about, he was obviously a good gaffer, Jimmy Calderwood. They done well at Aberdeen, to be fair. Was the highlight Europa League season or the UEFA Cup season against Bayern Munich, or was there highlights in it?
There was many experiences under him. I think, again, with standards, he raised them for that first season. We finished 11th the previous season, and then we finished 4th, and we just missed out in goal difference to a good Hibs team. But he raised the standards. Like, we're a top 6 team now. I think the next season he included, I think he went out and bought, you know, Barry Nicholson, and Jamie Smith came into the club, and you could see the signings were getting better. Lee Miller came into the club, so the signings were getting better, and that's no disrespect to what's gone before, but Willie was the general manager, Willie Miller, who backed him all the way. And the season we got into the UEFA Cup was a fantastic adventure, fantastic. You know, looking at Scotland the other night when they played in the Allianz, you know, we played in there against Bayern, you beat 5-1 the same as Scotland, but when you actually look at that and say, you know, you've experienced that capacity there, but that was lastly in the tournament. We started off against Dnipro in Ukraine, and we drew 0-0 at Pataudry, so we knew we had to go over to Ukraine to try and get an away goal, if you like. And that was just what it was. It wasn't qualifying, it was just a simple knockout, and you were in the group proper. So we scored after 30 minutes. We said, we've got something to hold on to here. And from then on, they were just peppered with goals. And it was just one of them things. I think 11 Scotsmen started that night in the qualifier over there. But they were doing everything to, even the previous night, flares, burning tyres out and smoke bellowing into the stadium. But it was a very hostile crowd, very Eastern European stadium. It wasn't like your Dnipro stadium now. It was sort of like, you know, it was half a mile for a tunnel, you know, like going up that way, and it was all like cages, and you into the changing room, and it was like couches and stuff like that. It was a crazy experience. But they equalised with 50 minutes to go, and then the onslaught happened, and then we go through and away goals, and you just fall to your knees, and you're dead on your feet really, because the amount of effort you put in. And suddenly we were in the group stage proper. And the draw we got was you couldn't have asked for a better group. We had Panathinaikos away, Lokomotiv Moscow home, Atletico Madrid away, and Copenhagen at home. So the two cities, we went over to Madrid, we went over to Athens. Brilliant experience. We get hammered on Greece 3-0, but it was like a Scottish team going out just as if they're playing a normal Scottish game. We should have been 5 or 6 that evening for Panathinaikos. Excuse me. And then the home game, I managed to score against Lokomotiv. So that was another wee kind of tick box in a way. Young boy from Dumbarton, getting a chance to play in European competition and scoring. Nobody can take that away. So that was a fantastic experience. And then we went to the Vicente Calderwood to play Atletico. They had Aguero up front, Forlan. These players, Simao, Thiago, Abiati was a keeper. Proper player. You're like, this is unbelievable. And we 2-0. I think we conceded a penalty before half time. We did well, but the penalty done us. Then it was a free kick at the back of Langfield. But the way it worked out was we had a free week, and we'd only 1 point from 3 games. But the way it worked out, if we beat Copenhagen in the last game, you were through. So it was a kind of all in, and Pedoji was absolutely bouncing that evening, 0-0 at half time. And then they'd Gronkia, Jesper Christensen was the ex-Rangers keeper. The Solback and something, I remember, he went to Wolves as a manager, but he came out and said, no, we'll win the game, we'll go through now. And we beat him 4-0. Jamie Smith had a kind of 15-20 minute spell that evening. He was unplayable, scored 2, and they were shocked. Solback, and you could see him, with 5 minutes ago, walked on the touchline, shook Jimmy's hand. He was away, that was him gone. So we get through in 4 points, and the top 3 went through. But the next morning we were in for recovery, but we actually never had a live link to the draw. And then it was a bowling club or a golf club just across the road. We all went in and they got pictures, and they had pictures up on the screen. As a live draw, it went to Aberdeen. There was no representatives, even though hierarchy didn't think we would get through. So it went to, we were the first name out of the hat. So it went to Aberdeen, there was 2 chairs like that, nobody was there. And then it went, you play Bayern Munich, and you're like, wow. And half of the boys missed the draw, so they all came in. As the draw started, said, we're out, we're playing Bayern, probably the favourites in that competition. And boys are like, good one, wind up. But it was Bayern Munich. And then suddenly we're playing Rangers in 2 days later, so we're in recovery. We're like, you couldn't even go out and say we're in Europe proper. And this is where I look at it from my experience, see to play a European tie and then to go again in domestic. It's so difficult. And I'm not saying to raise our games or anything like that, but see that the top world class players that can do it week in, week out, midweek to weekend, internationals, that's a different sort of fitness and everything like that. Because we struggled at times when we come back after a European game to suddenly go domestically, and you can see that over the years with Celtic and Rangers coming back, that they do struggle on a Sunday. Predominantly it's always an away game, so the opposition do make it hard, so I kind of took that from it. But
what is that, Zander? Is that like the lack of sleep? Is it like muscle soreness, like DOMS, or a combination of things?
I think mentally, and again, you need to be mentally fit. A lot of people say physical, and as you said, like the delayed onset, the muscle soreness and stuff like that, but I think it's just the highs, the adrenaline, for me, and the example would be, we were playing, and it's no disrespect, we could win the game, we were playing, it was Atletico Madrid over there, and I think it was Gretna on a Sunday. It was a home game, but you could tell we were sluggish, I think it was Gretna, and that's no disrespect to them, but you're going from there to there, and the top players must be there all the time, and that's where I say you tip your hat, look at the world-class players that keep doing it year in, year out, week in, week out, and I think it's a mental fatigue, or the adrenaline, you get that rush, the concentration levels that need to be so on par. Even when you play Celtic and Rangers, your concentration levels, you can maybe get away with it once or twice, playing a lesser team if you like, but you'll be punished all the time against the top teams, and that was something that, being a defender, was probably mentally knackered after games. And Yeah, the old Bayern experience was outstanding. You know, it still brings a smile to my face with that.
And they had some team as well at that time, right? Miroslav Klose and Schweinsteiger and that. Like, who were the ballers when you played against them?
As you said, they were the first game at Pittodrie, we actually snuck him in. Chris Maguire, you know, he trained the night before in the stadium. We actually went up to executive box and we actually watched them train. We're like, wow, we're going to play against this tomorrow night. Which nowadays people you'd be absolutely, they couldn't be fined, you're not allowed to do that. But they rested a couple of players for the first game. So they rested Oliver Kahn. You're like, World Cup winner. So yeah, fair play. I think it was but it was in goal. But I think at Pittodrie we held our own, 2 each. But the strike force that night was Luca Toni, Miroslav Klose and Podolski. You know, you're saying, you know, Schweinsteiger in the middle of the park, you had Lamb playing, Van Boyten played, but you're like, Willie Sagnol played. Right, so you're like, so we got a 2 each draw, and this is where, again, another story that we went to Germany. We played at Easter Road on the Sunday, and it was the usual, can you go and do something meaningful in Germany? And you need to be kind of diplomatic in the press. You know, you're getting into their backyard, similar to Scotland, or night, you're getting into the Germans' backyard, they're littered with seasoned winners, you know what I mean? So we were sitting the night before, and I was like, how are we going to combat this? You know, they'll not want us to kind of turn up and kind of get in amongst them. They're going to play. And it was just general discussions. We'd done a tour of it was a Mercedes garage or something, a BMW or something like that it was. Oh, right, okay, rest your legs up. We were doing tours of this. Fans are all that, he's alright, you want to rest up. Even the night before the morning of the Atletico game, we did the tour of Bernabeu. You know, you would never do that nowadays. It was just wee things that sports scientists would have a fit with that, you know. But so we're sitting, have a pre-match, we're sitting in the hotel in Munich, and the gaffer goes like that. So the back line, you see, this is what we're projecting. It was Can was back, Sagnol, Lucio, Van Boyten, and Philip Lamb, right? So the back five alone there have had about 400 or 500 caps. And Jimmy's like, but Oliver can he kick the ball anymore? Can he kick the ball? He says, that's the weak link. He'll try and play out and he can't do it. He says, and see him, you can get at him. Willie Sagnol was a World Cup winner. You know what I mean? So we're sitting there like, no, that way you can see boys kind of looking about as if
he's talking shite.
No so much talking about fair play, the belief. You need to go and believe you've got to do something. But when you tell Oliver can he kick a ball? You're just like the German World Cup winner and captain and stuff like that. And that was what they brought. Van Bommel was in the middle of the park. So it was Tony Cruz played. It was just one of them. So we got into the stadium and all that. We trained the night before into the game proper, and it was like, wow, it was capacity 6,000 to 8,000, 72, whatever it was. And then they took centre, about 20 seconds, they hit the crossbar. Lucille just went through about 5-6, whack, crossbar. Then about 10 minutes, 12 minutes, we're 2-0 in. That's going to be a long night here. And then, I can't remember even what we did at half time. Just kind of in shell shock, knackered. It was just still getting off 45 minutes. And you know, it's like the Bayern behind all the flags and all. It was just, it was the colour and all that, it was outstanding. Then they went 3-0, and then 4-0. Right, just kind of try and show it up and that. And then we scored. Take off. So the Aberdeen fans were in the corner now, but he's like, we just scored in the Allianz. See, within about 2 minutes. If the Germans went like, no, Van Bommel, both goal. So we got shirts at the end, seen swapping shirts and.
That's what I was going to ask you. Who did you swap with?
I get Podolski's shirt. I didn't swap my first leg. I just wanted to keep that. But on the shirt swap, Severin went up to Van Bommel, and he went. And I swapped, and he says, "I can't. Your coach has got it. Jimmy Calderwood already hoovered it up after him."
I can see he played in Holland for years, didn't he?
So he wanted Van Bommel. So Sevi never had a shirt.
Oh, that's brutal.
But big look at Tony, big Italian. And
he won the World Cup of Euros or something, didn't he? No, he scored.
That's what I mean, yeah. I remember that summer, sitting on holiday, and you're saying, there's Klose, Golden Boot winners, look at Tony playing, there's Bedotov, look at all these players. I mean, it was just, it's an experience, but we played 8 games in Europe that year and won 1 and got to the last 32. Not bad, is it? You get a couple of draws, but a great experience, and And again, we're talking about the mental fatigue and the elation, all that playing in stadiums and the concentration. Now we were playing Kilmarnock at Rugby Park on the Sunday, and we went down there. You had to go to at the time we got back from Germany, and then we went down there, no much training, and we get beat 3-0, going on 5 or 6. We were just done in, but again, you're playing at that level, and you could hear players saying, 3 days ago we were in the Allianz, now we're at Rugby Park. No disrespect to Kilmarnock, but certain players were saying that, and maybe that's the mentality thing. You've got to be at it all the time. That's their pinnacle of playing there. But you still get your domestic bread and butter. That's how you got into Europe. So maybe things always stay with you.
You've heard about people talking about Ronaldo, and he was at Man U, and he just always had that desire to be the best, whether it was training or after training, stuff like that. So I reckon it is. It's just, it must be just an alien mentality almost, of how much they want to win and win all the time.
Yeah, and I think after that, we get beat off Queen of the South 4-3, at Hampden, the semi-final. And you're suddenly, we were in, it was, I think after Christmas, we were in every cup competition. Now that season, we finished 4th. We lost in the semi-final in the League Cup to Dundee United. We lost in the semi-final to Queen of the South, having put Celtic out in the quarter-final. And again, a lot of people thought, looking back on it, that you put Celtic out, you should turn up and beat Queen of the South. Again, Queen of the South were better than us on the day. So we semi-final of the Scottish Cup and the last 32 of Europe. Now, any given season, you would say, but for us, we felt for Jimmy because the Queen of South one was a heartbreak, and I think ultimately, in the long run, that's what cost him his job, not getting the club to a domestic final, which is probably regret because you wanted it so much for him and Jimmy Nicol.
I remember at the time that was the chat in the media when he couldn't get to a final, and it was just that he was there or thereabouts. But he spent a bit of money, to be fair. Like you said, we signed Nicholson and Severin, they'd probably been on sort of decent wages there. Mm-hmm. But as what it is, who were the players then when you were at Aberdeen? Like, who were the top ballers that you enjoyed playing with?
Probably all of them. They were excellent, and like big Lee Miller up front, Jamie Smith, Jackie McNamara came in. Derek Suter was the goalkeeper. Lee Mayer was the centre back with Considine. Derek Young, Chris Clark. It was a whole generation. But we were a close knit. There was Severin was in that group. But we all fought for each other on the pitch. And even when the chips were down, we kind of fought for each other in a way that we backed each other up. But we failed that as people say, we look back at fond memories, but it was ultimately a failed season. Now I remember we beat off Queen of the South. Our next game was at Celtic Park, and that's when they were going for the title. And you're like, and yeah, I think we lost the game. We lost the game 1-0, but that was the game where I scored and I got chucked half. So it did, and it was Ian Brines was the referee, so the Aberdeen fans had a banner up saying like play for the jersey, all that. So we owed it to them. Of course we did. I always remember in stoppage time that it was by Nicholson that flighted the ball in, and I think I went up with, was it Baldy? I was already in a yellow, and I flicked it on. The ball bounced again. I put it in the top corner, and the ref gave it for a handball. And I said, well, if it's a handball, you got to send me off. Got to send me off because I'm on a yellow card. If that's a deliberate handball, and they're talking about, from the west of Scotland, talk about the conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But if Celtic drew that day, the league was gone. They still had back-to-back fixtures against Rangers, I believe. And people talk about this and that, but talk about referees, especially in Scotland, in the west of Scotland. But I'd say I went into the media room after it and I absolutely caned Brines. We was on a coaching course and we were kind of having a laugh and a joke. It was on the coaching course with Andy Halliday, Jamie Murphy and all that, and I told them about that and they're like, tell him, just say it. It was just a laugh and a joke, you know what I mean? But looking back on that, you're like, that was a big decision. That could have been the rebirth of us. Like the last 5 games we've lost at Parkhead, but we've come off the back of that. But a draw would have kind of softened the blow a small bit. But the goal get chucked half.
And then Celtic won that game then?
Celtic won the game 1-0, and then I think they had back-to-back Back-to-back games. No, our game was sandwiched in between that. Because the story was, I took my friend down for Aberdeen to sample the Old Firm game, and it was the night Hesselink scored in stoppage time. So we went down the Wednesday night, and I went on the screen the Saturday. The next fixture's Aberdeen.
Aye.
And my mate turned round to me, who's a staunch Aberdeen supporter. He says, and again, you're looking at the rivalry that we spoke about prior. He says, I hope he's get beat. Now, just to deny, obviously, Rangers, the league, that's, you're talking about mentality and how is that? And then I put the ball in the back of the net. And then, so the following Sunday, it was a 3-2 game. And I went back to Celtic Park to watch the game. And people were like that. See if that goal had stood, would you have been back? I said, certainly no, because the league was done. That was the whole sort of thing with that. But again, Jimmy was raging and all that. But we're coming into the story how we got our own back with Jimmy and Jimmy Nick.
Couldn't tell us that then.
So we said earlier that the Scott McDonald thing on helicopter Sunday. So I don't know if you ever remember the cans of Heineken. It was like green, but it was silver hoop. It was like hoop cans. That's what it was like. So I said the whole lead up, it was people had said, you're going to lie down to Rangers and stuff like that. It was all the clips for all the different things for the club and all that, fans and all that. So we got to the Thursday night, and I've never played in an atmosphere like it. Because you knew it was Kenny Clark's last game also. So it was just, you could just tell it was a light night. It was electric. Celtic were at Tannadice, we were at home to Rangers. So half time, still nothing each. So again, we're there because we're trying to finish the season strong to build for next season. There's obviously different objectives and things like that. So the Celtic go on and we score first, and then filters through. Celtic scored at Tannadice, and then we score straight after. But the rendition of, I think it was full Rangers, I've never heard it as loud as I think at that moment they just knew the law. But honestly, they just sang and sang. So into the change room afterwards, I don't know if Jimmy's happy, Jimmy Nicholls happy. I don't know if they're sad. It's mixed emotions. But we've got the cans in the middle of the changing room, just sitting there with a wee bow on it. He's kind of getting about. And then, as I said, it was a good game, great finish to the season. I don't know if he's doing it for a gritted teeth. He's like that, but he's kind of trying to catch. I'm trying to not look at him because I'm just, and a couple of other boys kind of sitting like that because they know what's in the middle of the table, and he's kind of like that, and he went, and who did? I'll only give the explicit side of it. Where they came for? And somebody went like that. I don't know. I think somebody went, I think Gordon Strachan sent them up for Tannadice and all that. Wait. But it was all banter, do you know what I mean? Again, you can speak about it now. So people had waited 5 years to sort of, but it was all done in jest, people are listening to this and all that. It was all fun, a bit of harmony, and it was great, people don't see that, and as I say, Jimmy Nick says all these stories and that, but brilliant. I mean, it was, and the gaffer just went, fair play. Sandy Clark was involved at that time, and Sandy was sort of, aye, but brilliant.
I know, it sounds like good fun, to be fair. What about current day then, Sander? You've obviously just took over the job there at Broomhill. You were at, is it St Pat's?
Yeah, aye.
The sort of an amateur side, so what's the script there? Can you tell us what's happened?
Yeah, I was joining and at St Pat's. St Pat's my local amateur team. We're trying to get into the West of Scotland League last season. We got to the final two, and Knightswood, unfortunately for us, get in. So it was just another year in the amateur game. So we kind of said, well, your remit is to go and try and win the league and do well in cups. But latterly, towards the last few weeks of the season, Broomhill had made contact with myself and just asked a question, would you come in and have a wee talk? I went, yep, no bother. So that was it, initial meeting. I just spoke about certain things, and they said, right, okay. So then so St Pat's, the manager knew I was talking to them. You want to do stuff right, but it's never, you want to just kind of get your ducks in order, say, listen, I'm not going behind anybody's back. You're on a need-to-know basis, or people on a need-to-know basis. So then they wanted to advance the talks. So I went in the meeting the Thursday evening and spoke about budgets and players and stuff like that, and staff and facilities, and so it became that wee bit more real. And then on the Friday, I had a cup final on the Friday with St Pat's, and they'd phoned us at 4 o'clock and says, we're offering you the job if you want it. So I was like, it was a no-brainer really, because again, they play out of Dumbarton. There's a lot of tick boxes for myself on a personal note, and where I'm at in my career, being a manager and stroke coach. So the elation of, accepting the job, you're going to be in the 5th year of Scottish football, be a cup final to kind of focus on. So I never said I didn't get through the cup final. We won the cup final, and then I spoke to the manager that evening. After a few beers, I said, listen, there's an opportunity. We've advanced the talks. You know all about it. I'm going to go for it. I'll be, you would be kicking yourself. No disrespect to St Pat's, who was brilliant for me. We did a lot of successful stuff. We reshaped the club, me and the manager and a few others. And I've left it in a better place. It was fantastic. But the opportunity to go and manage and be my own guy in the Lowland League was too good to turn down. So did that and over the weekend. But St Pat's had won the league game to win the championship. Left, so I spoke to Broomhill and said, listen, I want to follow that through. I want to finish the season. The manager was away on holiday, so it was effectively left to me. And I had a meeting with the players. It started to come out on the Monday night, the Tuesday of the following week. In the following week was the other game, the last game of the season, because of the way it worked. It then seeps out. So my plan was to speak to the captain, the vice captain, the treasurer and stuff like that. Once it probably an hour before it would be announced. But then Monday night it was doing wildfire online, and so it kind of fast tracked it a wee bit. So I spoke to the captain on the kind of Tuesday afternoon, spoke to the vice captain, and then I get announced officially that night. And I had a training session with St Pat's on the Wednesday, so I was getting unveiled the Broomhill St Pat's training. So I had a meeting with the players. I just said to them, listen boys, I says, my focus is on you guys. I says, so if you want me to take you, great. See if you don't, I said, I understand. And boys were fully behind us. No, we want you here and all that. So that was brilliant. So coupled with trying to prepare the team for the following week, it was a long week, and I was getting kind of all the signings in, speaking to players. So the initial Tuesday to the Friday, it was just coupled in with the St Pat's training, the mental side of it, the sleepless, kind of, you're up early. You've got your work also to go to, so it's like you're trying to balance, speaking the same thing to players, trying to convince them to come on the journey with us, speaking about budgets, contract offers, everything like that. So it was a whirlwind 72 hours.
You've signed a few players for St Pat's as well, haven't you?
We signed 2 players, yeah. So again, I spoke to the manager. I said, listen, I want to sign these 2 players, but we've done it in a way that we won't announce or speak to them till after the game against Castlemilk it was. So that, and we had a wee agreement with that, so I had to respect that. I said, yeah, no bother. I said, we've got it was a long kind of summer for us to go and recruit. But the recruitment side of it, you get a list of players. We got initially me, myself, Gordon Wild and Martin Mooney. That's the coaching team. We actually had a list, a target. So we probably have hit just now probably 90% of our targets, which is a good going. And the players that we've signed were all our targets that we sort of wanted. We missed out on 1 or 2, and that's the other side of it. We had the first couple of signings were easy, and then we had a kind of negotiation with ones, and boys that want to try elsewhere or hold off. So that was a side of the game where you want to get players in straight away. But we didn't reveal it on social media until a kind of long time, so we had about 8-9 signed, and that's the most important. And once you get the first 2 in, online, suddenly it's almost like if you build it, they will come. So your phone starts lighting up, agents, more agents, players circulation their CVs, players that will just get your number and just text you. So it's constantly +4 phone numbers on your phone, and who's this player? But you do your homework, and well, I'm under no illusion. The team that finished last season with Broomhill is certainly not the team that's going to start the season, because effectively all the players are gone now, and we move on from it. and it's a new Broomhill. So when people were talking to people and they said, well, he's finished 15th, I says, well, that wasn't us, that was the previous regime, previous management team, and good luck to them. But this is our team. You need to try and convince them. How's it going to be better? Why is it going to be better? You know, what's your targets? What's your aims and stuff like that? So it was a lot of hours on the phone. But again, I've got a young family also, and I've got a wife, and you're working on it. So it's trying to find the balance. But I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's probably surpassed what I was kind of looking at, in a way that, you know, as football management, you're so submerged. They say it's part-time, it's certainly not. You're on constantly. Even at a 5-minute window you've got to be kind of looking at certain things. How do we improve? Is it training kit? Is it balls? Is it, you know, the standards? Again, get back to Jimmy, raising the standards of a football club. Because again, and under no illusion, people's got an opinion of Broomhill of nomads, they've not got a home, they've not got a fan base. So do players look at that, or am I getting a team on the park that identify and is my team, but the football players are not there? Fans are great, football grounds are great, but it's ultimately you'll be judged what's on the football part, not what's, if you've got 10,000 fans or one fan, or you've been a 60,000 seater stadium or a 1,000 seater stadium. You know, it's effectively judged on the park, and that's what I'll be judged on, recruitment wise and or style of play, you know, and results basically. Because I don't care what anybody says. You can come back 500 years time, results are going to dictate how you are and how people view your success being the manager.
No, absolutely, and that's what I wanted to ask you about, was the standards. So I've had Sean Kenny a couple of times. He's the manager down at Aberdeen in the West of Scotland League, and he was the same. He had an amateur team, and he took most of the boys for the amateurs, something at the juniors there, and he went up in the sort of first season, which was good. So obviously you're signing boys for St Pat's, which is amateurs, and Lowland League, which is Division 5, as you're saying. So what is the standard difference between the lower leagues in Scotland and then the actual Lowland League, get into the juniors and get into the amateurs? Could you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, well, the thing is, with the two players that I have signed from St Patrick's now, if we're taking Mike Waken in isolation, Michael was skilled at Hearts his whole day. He was the captain of Hearts right up to last year, near enough. And he had a wee setback in his career. He got released as, you know, you see the exit trials and that players are getting released, and there's, you know, everybody's not going to make it, put it that way. So there's got to be a fall somewhere. So Michael came to St Pat's, and you could tell straight away he had the quality and he had all the ingredients to be a better player than what, you know, no disrespect, it's amateur level, but fair play to him for sampling that. So he had a good season, but I always felt that he can come back up. You know, it's one season there, he's still playing football, fit and everything like that, but he's hungry enough to go and try it again. Now, again, with the conversations with probably most of the players, it's opportunity to go and produce. You know, you've had a wee minor setback in your career. Are you just going to kind of dwindle away, or are you going to say, do you know what, roll the sleeves up and go again? And that's where the kind of the type of player that I want in my team, and it will be represented in the Broomhill team. Players that have had minor setbacks, they've been promised stuff, and it's never followed through. You know, and that's one thing with my management sort of career that I hope to bring across, to be honest with the player. If you're having a bad game, this is how and why you're having a bad game. You know, is it just on the part or is it off the part? And again, that goes back to Jimmy Calderwood. It's like he knew everything. The Sir Alex Ferguson effect. You know, he knew everything about every player, you know, from their kids, their wife, their girlfriend, their mum and dad, stuff like that, you know. So with Michael, it's like he's hungry enough to go back. If we're talking about Lewis is banged in 40, 50 goals. So he knows what the goal is straight away. Will I think he will get better in the environment? I think so, because he'll be getting training, a sort of, you know, striker training, everything like that. He'll be working, not saying we didn't work, we worked extremely hard at St Patrick's, but dedicating himself, you know. And I said to him, I says, you've got a year ahead of you. If you come in and you score, you know, it's like a dozen goals, 10, 12 goals, other teams will go. And that's what it is, you know, he's going to be judged on his goals. But I just felt with Lewis, he's got all the attributes, the raw ingredients to go and say, do you know what, I'm going to go and do this, discipline myself for a year. And you know what, when I had the conversation with him, he said, if I didn't try it, I would regret it. It's an opportunity again, as every training session is an opportunity, every match is an opportunity. and we've got trialists going to come in. And that's what you want to give them, a platform. Here it's you. Somebody gave me a chance once, so it's good to kind of give that back to other players.
So it sounds like you'll be taking boys for all leagues then. Like nobody's getting ruled out for Broomhill. It sounds like.
No, and we can't do. You could say like but you want to aim and get players that have played at a higher division. Now we've got players that's played at the higher division and had a good season. We've got players that have played in the same league. We've got players that come from amateur. We've went to the West of Scotland League and we've kind of done our homework in one or two who we think we can improve the team. And these are players that opportunity is for them. They come in, they do well. Fair play. See, if they say at the end of the season, I say to the players, see if you come in, you do well, then and you get a move off it. It means brilliant. Your job's done. You're never going to stop a player from moving on, and that's what you're open to everybody. You've got to be the right fit. You've got to kind of hard work. There's basics in there. There's fundamentals that I need to see within a player before talking to them or before signing with them. Do your homework with them. Are they good in the changing room? What are they like off the park? What's their personality? Because ultimately the team that I put in the park will reflect myself, Gordon, Martin's personality. Smiles and faces. That's what we want within it. Win, lose or draw, we're together. We're never going to single anybody out. It's a journey, and that's what I keep saying to them. We're on a journey together. I'm in my first managerial job on the journey with you guys. So if you are doing well, it means I'm doing well, it means the team's doing well, Broomhill's doing well. And that's ultimately what it is. One big family, we win, lose and draw together, and who knows by next year where it might take us. So we'll set targets, but we'll remain in-house, but we want a mentality to kind of go and do well and be the best player. That's what I always say to any player, be the best player you can. See if you have a bad game, you can accept that. See if you go and try things and they don't come off, at least you've tried them. That's probably exciting. But when you start, I was writing the list down, you see the players we've signed. It's exciting times.
Was there any phone calls to Cy Ferry? Are they going to be your rivals this year? So there's no exchanges information there.
No. There's. I think again, the team that Simon has a totally different team that was there last season. Again, it's going to a totally different team this year. I think somebody said that Mick Kennedy had wished us all the best, so that's nice to hear. But again, you're going to be mixing with teams and getting into the stadiums. That's something I'm looking forward to. There's a few grounds in the Lonely that I've never been to. I've never been to Aberdeen Rovers. I've never been to Berwick Rangers. There's another ground in there that I've never. Cowdenbeath. I've never been to Cowdenbeath. So we things like that. I'm looking forward to just going and testing yourself. Good away days. I've not been into Gretna. So.
Don't make it married down there. You get done for bigamy.
So no, but as I say, it's an excitement as well. I know there's a wee bit of seriousness about it, but there's excitement also that I just want to go every week. Try and be the best training session you can. Within that, the players do well, and then see where the results take us. It's not a be all and end all. For you, it's a journey, and I said we're going to be together. But I want my team to have a wee bit of personality, a bit of a mentality to do well. And see if a team's better than us, you hold your hands up. However, we'll be fitter, we'll be stronger, we'll be sharper the next time we do go and play them. But that's what pre-season's for. So really looking forward to it. And yeah, next time this year, hopefully, we're sitting here and I've done well.
I hope so, mate. Anything else you wanting to say, Zander, like about Broomhill or anything else in your career that we've not touched on?
No, I think England probably again shaped me as a person. I went down there at 26, and the array of managers that I worked with down there. I managed to work with Paul Dickoff, Gary Rowett, Chris Wilder, Steve Evans, a character on his own. Steve was outstanding. Rob Page. I still keep in contact with Rob Page, Chris Wilder. Chris was brilliant. He's probably like a Sheffield Jimmy Calderwood. So I kind of warmed to Chris straight away. We won the league title with him down in England with Northampton. So that was excellent. But I think with Steve, Steve being the Scottish guy made me captain at Mansfield, and I always remember meeting him, met him in East Midlands Airport. Great, and he spoke about 10 minutes. Mansfield and what he could do, and spoke about the North Tours, about Celtic. He was a very, very big Celtic supporter. So that was it, and then signing my contract. Went into his office and he sat with the feet up, and they went like, "Can you get me a can?" Looking at it, and it was like just a whole fridge of Irn-Bus, just Irn-Bus. And then we went to Malta that same season, and going under the plane, you could see just crates of Irn-Bru, and you had to go and get like Gaffer, like he's an Irn-Bru when you're on Malta, and that'll cost you and all that stuff like that. So banter as well, but a winner, a very, very astute guy, very, very, they say he buys leagues, not buys record, speaks for itself. He's won numerous promotions, but a winner. I remember Morecambe, he said, "I'm going to slaughter you in the change room, skipper, right?" I went, "Aye, no bother me, actually." He slaughtered me. Aye. No, the other players were like, I'd never had that played a bad game. He just said, "If I can get to you, the other players will kind of take note of that and kind of up their ante a bit for the game." So loved him, keep in contact with him as well, his messages back and forth, wee clips and all that. But no, the great array of managers, and you take wee things for each manager. But I think with Steve, again, spoke about it, honesty was the key.
He's got a reputation for being a bit of a wheeler dealer, hasn't he, with players, Steve?
Yeah, he always gets a transfer war chest and spends it, but he knows the leagues, and that's the thing. I think he's been back to Rotherham now. When I first went down to Burton Albion, he was a Rotherham manager, and they were opening the stadium and all that. And I'd never come into conjunction with him, and I seen him, was like, "Wow, who's this mad Scottish guy on the sideline?" I'd never ever heard of him. But in the end, left a good friend. When we had our daughter down there and they sent flowers and stuff like that. A nice guy, nice, just a winner. And he's a serial winner at that. Not a lot of people don't like him on the sidelines. Again, just somebody that wants to give energy to his team, shout, ball. If he can win a game of football, by all means, he will do it. It's fourth officials, linesmen, you name it. But maybe I'll not take that into my managerial career, is what Steve was doing.
You spend a bit of time in the stands, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
So what's the dream going forward then with Broomhill, Zander? Like, would you take a coaching job? I know you've just took this job, it's maybe unfair to ask you, so you can tell me to fuck off if you want. But would you take a coaching job somewhere if like one of your ex-teammates came and said, "I'm needing somebody to help me," or is that you've set your sights on being a manager now?
No, I've set my sights with the management side of it. Broomhill's gave me a fantastic opportunity and platform to start my career. And, I said the first 3-4 weeks have been absolutely fantastic in that respect. I feel, as the season goes on, we just wait and see where we are. But they've given me a platform, and I want to give it a go. And they've put trust in me. I trust them fully. They're working behind the scenes, a good club. A lot of people don't see that. There's a lot of good guys behind it, volunteers, and that was one of the first things I did was get everybody together, for the social media guy to the guy that does the photography, to the general manager, to everybody. And that's what we want, to make it a family affair also, and have everybody involved. It's not just you turn up, I turn up with a team on a Saturday, play the game and you're away. You want to sit with these guys and women after a game and talk about it, because that's what I did when I first went in. Fundamentally, you seek out who's been there prior. So all the behind the scenes, the staff there, constant dialogue, constant contact. They've says, we can only say no to you. So I've asked for certain things, and up to this point they've given me it. So I wonder when they will say no. But no, I enjoy that aspect. We've got even at this early stage. And I'd known George prior. We've got a good working relationship so far, and I'm keen to maintain that, because I think relationships anywhere, ultimately, they'll back me and I'll back them, and effectively, if we've got a good season under our belt, then yeah, it's been a success. So, targets will be set. I'm not going to say out what I think, but there'll be demands put on the players, but they've left me to do kind of my job really, and I can only thank them for that.
Aye, no, I'm sure it'll go well, mate. We'll get you back in if you get promoted anyway. If you can pip East Kilbride in the war chest to the post there.
Yeah.
But no, it was good talking to you, mate. I really appreciate you coming in. If folk enjoyed this, there'll be more, ex-Hipper players for all levels and managers coming in. So if they want to like and subscribe, that would be much appreciated.
No problem. Pleasure's all mine, Paul. Thank you.
Good man, Zander. Cheers, mate.